Yeah, I know how to work things. I know how to work things. I hope you guys like my list here. I have brutal, challenging, fair fight, smooth going, pushover, and I would delete them. If I had terrible time in this mod with it, it's going down there. I'm doing this in order how I fought them. I'm not doing this in the order of actual normal progression. Okay, tier list time. First boss, Eye of Cthulhu. You know, I do enjoy the Eye of Cthulhu. It makes sense, it works. For being a first boss, I think it's a fair fight. And then I believe we actually fought the crab. So I think it was my first experience actually fighting a non-vanilla boss. So after Eye of Cthulhu, I definitely had struggled with the crab just a little bit because of its hitbox was just strange. I didn't really understand this hitbox. I'm gonna put it into, it was smooth going for the most part. Once I realized, okay, I have to actually dash. I think this is the Desert Scourge. This was a definite, it was super easy. Ridiculously easy, actually. So I'm gonna push this and push over it because we steamrolled the thing. Destroy did give us a bit of a challenge. It really made us work for it. When it broke off into segments and started attacking me, oh my gosh. I'm gonna put this in challenging, because it was difficult at where I was in the game, what I had, with being a summoner and being, you know, mostly blind. The Hive Mind was a very unique fight, because found it, I think, before any of the other bosses. I was the first thing I saw in the Calamity mod. I walked into the corruption. I was like, well, what's this thing? I started hitting the Hive Mind tumor. That didn't end well. I died very quickly. But it made me like, oh, this is Calamity. This is going to be more interesting than I first thought about. I would say it's a similar fight to the Eye of Cthulhu. I didn't have any expectations, and it was a bit like the Brain of Cthulhu. So that's definitely a fair fight, in my opinion. With Skeletron, Calamity Skeletron, there was actual technical changes with Skeletron, and I found it to be actually quite a decent fight. It was different, and I did it my first try, which was crazy, because it was teleporting. So I'm gonna put this, like, it was very but fair, but I'm gonna put like low challenging but not fair fight. But somehow I didn't die a couple times. I got to like 1 HP. I said, and then I believe it was Slime God. Now I believe this was probably one of the harder fights of this whole game, and I hated the thing. It did not feel fun. I'm gonna put them and just delete the thing, or just put them at a different part of the game. Put it after the Wall of Flesh, because it was so difficult. It wasn't even brutal. Brutal's a reserved area. Like, there's so many particles that it made it literally impossible to dodge. And I believe if you have a boss fight, you just have a mechanic to dodge. And I understand maybe they did and I missed it, but come on. That boss fight sucked. And there was like 8 phases. There kept being more slimes. Yeah, it sucked. I'm putting them there. That's my opinion. Now, okay. This is the big one. This is the shift from easy mode bosses to hard mode bosses. The Wall of Flesh. From my eyesight, from what I saw during the fight, I only saw 1 or 2 technical changes. And for the most part, we beat it on the first try. We had a hiccup, but that was an accident. We didn't mean for that to happen. I died once. I'm going to say it's a fair fight. It wasn't even challenging. It was just a fair fight. Okay, Queen Slime, I feel, is out of place. I think the idea of Queen Slime should come before Slime God. It doesn't make, in my opinion, doesn't make really that much sense. I think it's in the wrong spot, but with the fight, it was not as hard as Slime God. So I would actually put this on challenging if it was my first go through. So delete. If I was doing a vanilla one of these, I would put it in the delete section. Okay, the next boss, we have Cryogen. Cryogen is a different story. When I first fought it, I hadn't even fought Queen Slime yet. It was an interesting take on a boss fight because it had the shield and then it did a whole bunch of ramming. However, I would go through a couple of those fights without taking damage. And for this reason, I'm gonna put it in fair. I think some of you might disagree with me there, but I didn't really have an issue with this boss. I at first, like, it was hard. It was the first time I summoned it. It's like, what's going on? But then afterwards, I was like, oh, this is just cultist with a couple changes. Delete Cryogen. No, we're keeping it fair. At this point, actually, in the game, it's the first time I fought Queen Bee. So after all these bosses, I went back to kill Queen Bee for some reason. It was kind of just, you know, pushover. I know it can be hard. Even then, it's kind of a pushover. So I'm putting it right there. The Destroyer. Okay, this is what happened first. I just realized we had to beat the mechanical boss Destroyer before we beat Aquatic Scourge. Holy crap, I hate that. Okay, so here's my take. We're doing Destroyer. is almost a pushover. I'd say it almost is at that level. It's smooth going, I'd say. It does a lot of damage when it hits you with its face, but it's quite easy to avoid, especially the higher you go in the world. I'm gonna put it here just for that reason. The floating eyes that try to shoot you with lasers and the lasers it shoots all at once are hard, but with all of those little drones, they give you so many hearts anyway that it's like, meh. So it goes in the smooth going. Now we get to the part that I hate the most. We're putting this thing up here, putting the quad skirts in brutal. I don't know why I struggled with this boss so much. All the like projectiles it shot off, the gas attack and the needles, and it did so much damage so fast to what I was used to for no reason. I hate aquatic scourge, and it's almost to that level of delete the thing. It's right there, and if it wasn't because it was the 4th worm boss you get in the game, it would be down here. If there was one more, I'd put it down there. We had Skeletron Prime. I think we beat it on our first try. Either that or it was real easy. I didn't see really any technical changes, and I'm just gonna put this in smooth going just because I find it a hard battle. I don't even really remember it. I think I just did what my strategy in the vanilla, which was just going at a diagonal, up and down. Fought the twins directly after our Skeletron Prime fight. The twins, though, were a little more difficult. I would say that one eye that kept shooting lasers mixed with the flamethrower eye made it difficult because they stay on either side of you. It's like, stop that. Pick a side. And I would say either a fair fight. I would actually put this more in challenging. It really made me change how I played my summoner character. We fought Plantera. Now, this boss was almost what made me quit Terraria my vanilla playthrough because I could not do it. This time, we beat it in like a couple of times. I'm just gonna put this in fair fight. It's a fair fight. The moment you learn how the boss works, it's like, oh, you just go in a wide circle. That's all you do. And then we had Arnstrom Deus, or however you pronounce this boss. This thing, it was kind of easy. It was first challenging to learn how this boss worked and fought and everything else. It wasn't that difficult, but it was challenging enough because of how much damage it is, and it would fall directly on top of you, and if you didn't dash at the right moment, you'd get hit every single time. And I would put that again at fair fight. It made sense to fight this boss at the time you get to it, and you got decent items from it, I feel. It's my favorite boss. Not anymore. It's the worst boss. Fought Golem is, usually a pushover, but they changed the darn thing. I didn't expect it, and it was subtle enough that I made it hard for the difficulty and the changes at like where it was in the game. Because oh my goodness, the temple killed me more than the actual boss. I'm gonna put it in challenging. That's gonna be a whack answer. Here's the thing: getting to the boss is hard. I died so many times. Calamitous Clone, beat it on my first try. It would have been difficult if I wasn't just absolutely boosted out on luck in my personal life. I don't know how I beat this thing on the first try. In that case, we're putting in a pushover. And I'm not changing my mind. Next boss we fought and destroyed, Empress of Light. This has not been a hard boss for me in any situation. I've never struggled with Empress of Light. And for that one, I'm gonna put, there. I'm gonna put in smooth going. Because if I put it in pushover, people are gonna be really mad at me if I put it here. And I would put it here, people are gonna be mad at me. I don't think I've ever died more than like 4 times on it. Even with Daytime Empress. Oh, Plaguebringer Goliath. Okay, this one was difficult to learn. It was challenging, and that's why I was going to go in challenging, because it had the shot its missiles at you, and then it would ram you, so you had nowhere to go. That one was difficult, but it wasn't brutal. It wasn't something I found that I couldn't get past. A lot of these bosses, a lot of Terraria bosses, you just go in a circle. You go in a wide circle and you win. Moonlord goes pushover. It's so easy, especially where you get to it in the game. It's like, oh really? I've beaten vanilla. What are you gonna do? Oh yes. Okay, Deus. This guy was, again, really hard to beat. Deus, I did spend a lot of time on him. I hate worm boss. I hate them. I hate them with so much passion. Just get rid of this one. He really had no purpose. After points, I had to look up his items. Like, is it really worth fighting him? And it wasn't, so I just skipped him. I skipped him entirely. He's the only boss. I said, nope, I don't need to fight this guy anymore. And I just went on with the boss progression. He's the only boss I quit. Not because I couldn't beat him. It would take too much of my time to try to beat him that it became not worth it anymore. I hate worm bosses. Here's my hot take with worm bosses. They're uncreative. And if I included this to any of the rest of this list, that'd be the 5th worm boss. Look at the rest of these bosses. They're all unique and cool. But you have these little pieces of crap that are scattered throughout because they're so trash. If you have to stick 8 worm bosses, I mean, there's probably another like 5 here in the list, and you have to put those throughout your game, not only have you reached the peak of your imagination, you've also just made the game really boring. Because really, all the worm bosses are the same fight with a couple tweaks. That's my little rant about worm bosses. And you better deal with it. Next boss, it's the Profane Guardians. I don't really remember this fight. It was easy. It didn't really give me any struggle. I would say it's a fair fight. It did kill me a couple times, but it wasn't impossible. After Profane Guardians, you had Dragon Falling. This was a weird boss, but it was easy. And you had to fight it in the jungle. I fought it in the arena that's pre-built. And it didn't feel like fairest to the boss itself. It just felt kind of like me. So I'm gonna put this in a pushover. We fought the Providence. This boss was challenging. I'm gonna put it there because not only did it make you really try to learn a new boss fight, it had these guys to it too. So it had the Profane Guardians plus Providence, which made it just ridiculous. It really was difficult, not brutal. We had the Ceaseless Void, Sieges, and whatever this thing's called. A Ceaseless Void, brutal. Really hard boss. Really was hard. Because in the dungeon, I can barely see anything. And it became a graveyard and made it even harder. So Ceaseless Void's up there. Stormweaver, this is like a 3-part boss, really. I would say it's a fair fight. Though, I would put it here, but it's another worm, so it goes down and delete the thing. Why have a boss again that's a worm? And then Sieges, kind of a pushover. Didn't really stand a chance at the point where we got to him in the game. Did a lot of damage for what he was in the game. Took like half my health, or over half my health. This is an almost worm boss. It's close, but isn't. And for that, it has a cool design, but it didn't really give me that much of an issue. I beat it in like first 4 times. I'd say it's smooth going. Because again, you go in a long circle, a very wide circle for this one, and you win. Devourer of Gods, this was a hard fight. And if people who've seen the YouTube shorts know this was a hard fight. But I learned it quite quickly. But it did so much damage and it was so fast that it was absolutely brutal. It was very brutal. I died 74 times. I don't know, other people get to like the 200s before they can finally start beating it. The next dragon. This was very much just a pushover. It was my first time I summoned it, it killed me instantly. Then after that, I think I faced it like 4 times and I beat it. You're on. I didn't even make a short about it because it was that easy. Some of these bosses, most of the bosses I made shorts about. However, when it came to this guy, it didn't feel right. Now it is Exomix. This thing, I would say it's a brutal, maybe a low brutal, almost challenging. It's hard for me to pick which one here. Having 3 bosses to fight against while you're doing it is very challenging. And so I'm going to put it up to brutal because it does so much damage in such a short time. And probably now the most disappointing part about the whole thing here, Supreme Witch Calamitous. This boss, I don't really think is a final boss. I wouldn't put it at the end of a modded version. I would make something super hard. This wasn't super hard. I beat it within the first 7 attempts. I would say smooth going. I didn't feel like it was fair because I was healing so much using my different weapons, my Eye of Magus and my healing like armor. This boss didn't give me continual pressure, especially when I used the chair of Dagon. That chair, that gaming chair, gave me so much maneuverability that I was able just to basically like, oh, there's a meteor coming, move up. Here's the thing. This is my opinion. I know some people are like, I found this boss to be really hard. I don't know why some of these bosses are so easy, but I hope you guys enjoyed my tier list.